Most men over 60 start to believe that losing their morning wood is just something that comes with age. They chalk it up to hormones, stress, or just the so-called normal decline. But what if that's not really true? What if I told you your body didn't actually forget how to respond, it just stopped receiving the right signals? The truth is, the physical structure that supports your erections is still there, still capable. What's changed is not your hardware, it's your electrical system. And today, I'm going to show you how to reactivate that system naturally, gently, and without pills. I'm Dr. Sophia Jain. For over 20 years, I've worked in integrative men's health, helping thousands of men in their 60s and 70s restore something they thought was gone forever, that deep, inner sense of vitality that begins with blood flow. And I'm not here to sell you a miracle. I'm here to teach you how to use your own hands, your breath, and your awareness to press 3 simple points on your body, 3 spots that, when activated with care, can flip the switch back on. These are not mystical acupoints or strange tricks. They're real, physical places on your body where blood vessels, nerve endings, and energy centers come together. And when you stimulate them, you'll notice things begin to move again, inside and out. We'll get to the points in just a moment. But before we do, I want to give you the most important truth I've seen in my years of clinical work. Ready? Your body isn't broken. It's disconnected. And disconnection is reversible. I've had men sit in my office, shoulders slumped, eyes full of shame, and whisper, "Doc, I don't wake up the same anymore." And I always tell them that doesn't mean you failed. It means your system has gone dormant. And it's time to wake it up. Because just like a garden left untended, your lower body, your manhood, needs attention, touch, circulation. Not aggression, not shame. Just focused, consistent care. So let's start there. Let's talk about the first pressure point. You've likely passed your hand over it 1,000 times, maybe shaving, maybe dressing, maybe doing nothing at all. But when you touch it with intention, things change. I call it the reboot point. It's just above your pubic bone, in that soft tissue where your lower abdomen meets the root of your shaft. This spot isn't just skin. It's where a mesh of blood vessels, nerves, and lymph channels intersect. Press here gently, not with force, but with awareness, and breathe. Slowly in through your nose. Hold, then out through your mouth. What you're doing isn't just touching your body. You're opening communication between your brain and your base. You're telling your nervous system, I'm still here. I'm still alive. Let's reconnect. Hold that point for 30 seconds. Breathe. Repeat. You don't need a tool or a technique. You need patience. Some men report a tingle, some warmth, others nothing at all at first. That's okay. You're not looking for fireworks, you're planting seeds. And seeds take time. Now, let's move to the second point. This one's a little more hidden. It's not something most men ever think about, let alone touch. It's located in the perineum, the area between your testicles and your anus. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's known as Huin or CV1. In modern terms, I call it the release point. Why? Because this is where a lot of deep pelvic tension gets trapped. And when it stays locked up, blood flow struggles to reach the tissues that need it most. I once worked with a man named George, 67, recently retired, a proud grandfather who felt like his body had stopped responding entirely. He'd tried testosterone gels, he'd changed his diet, but nothing felt different. When I introduced him to the release point, he was skeptical. But I asked him to sit on a small rolled towel, soft, not firm, and simply breathe. No pushing, no squeezing, no forcing. Just sit, breathe, and let the body soften. 3 days in, he said he felt warmth not just in the perineum, but in his inner thighs, his hips, even his lower back. That warmth? That was circulation returning. That was his body saying, thank you. I remember this. Gentle stimulation of the perineum signals your pelvic floor to release its grip. It encourages the arteries to open up, and most importantly, it reminds the brain that there's sensation to be felt down there. A little every day goes a long way. Which brings me to the third point. This one is my favorite because it's so unexpected. It's not on the penis. It's not even near the pelvis. It's tucked along the inner thigh, about halfway between the knee and the groin. Run your fingers there now. Find the line where your thigh meets the inside of your leg. That's your femoral artery, one of the main superhighways of blood to the lower body. And right beside it, your femoral nerve, responsible for signaling sensation and movement in your entire groin region. This spot, which I call the flow point, is like a switchboard. When you gently press and trace along it, especially when paired with breath, you encourage fresh blood to move toward your lower abdomen and genitals. You also awaken nerve signals that may have gone quiet over the years. Use 2 fingers and stroke upward along that inner line. If you feel soreness, that's a good sign. That's a traffic jam beginning to clear. Stick with it. Repeat on both legs, every morning after you wake up or before bed. It doesn't take long. And you may be surprised what starts to happen when the flow is restored. When these 3 points are used together, the reboot point, the release point, and the flow point, they create a full body signal. A quiet but clear message that says, wake up. It's time to feel again. But that's just the beginning. If you really want to make these results last, and I mean for years, not just days, you need to support these points with daily habits that nourish your blood, calm your nervous system, and build connection. In the next part, I'll walk you through 4 simple habits that supercharge these techniques. They don't cost anything. They don't require supplements. But they do require one thing: consistency. Let's dive into the habits. For small things that, when paired with your pressure point practice, create a powerful, lasting shift in your body's ability to perform, respond, and recover. These aren't hacks. They're not trends. They're foundational patterns that help rebuild what time, stress, and neglect may have worn down. Let's start with the first one: breathing. Yes, breathing. But not just any breathing. I'm talking about slow, deep nasal breathing that reaches all the way into your belly. Most men over 60 breathe shallow and high up in the chest. It's usually unconscious and driven by years of stress. But when you train yourself to slow your breath and draw it down, magic happens. Your nervous system shifts from fight or flight to rest and repair. Your blood vessels open. Your nitric oxide, the compound your body uses to help erections, starts to rise naturally. You don't need hours. Just 5 minutes a day, sitting still, in silence, breathing in through the nose for 4 seconds, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6. Do that every day. You'll be surprised what changes. One of my clients, Ron, 70, told me after just a week, he felt calmer, less tight in the chest, and his words more alive down there. That's no accident. Breath is blood flow's best friend. Habit 2 is hydration. And not just any hydration, warm water, first thing in the morning. After age 60, the body dehydrates faster. During sleep, your blood thickens slightly, and thicker blood moves more sluggishly. When that happens, guess what gets less circulation? That's right, your manhood. A tall glass of warm water before anything else helps thin the blood just enough to allow for better flow. And when blood moves freely, so does your energy, your mood, and your performance. This may sound too simple, but trust me, it matters. Cold water can constrict vessels. Sugary drinks spike insulin. But warm, clean water tells your body, we're waking up gently, intentionally. Add a little lemon if you like. It helps the liver clear toxins. But even plain, it's powerful. I've had men message me saying, I didn't expect a glass of water to do anything, but now I feel warmer in the mornings and I wake up harder. The third habit is cutting down sugar at night. This one hits close to home for a lot of men. The after-dinner sweets, the late-night cookies, the just one more bite of ice cream. It feels harmless. But inside your arteries, that sugar inflames the lining. It damages the endothelium, the inner wall that allows blood vessels to relax. Once that's damaged, blood flow suffers. And where does that show up first? In your erections. This doesn't mean you have to give up joy. It just means shifting sweetness to earlier in the day, or better yet, choosing fruits, nuts, or dark chocolate over processed sugar. Your nighttime routine should be about rest, not repair from sugar damage. I tell my patients, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. One less cookie, one more glass of water, one better breath. That's how real transformation happens. Now, the fourth habit is movement. And no, I'm not asking you to run 5 miles or lift heavy weights. I'm asking you to walk. After dinner. just 10 to 15 minutes. Why? Because walking activates the calf muscles, which act like a second heart, pumping blood back up toward your chest and brain. That movement gets circulation flowing throughout the night, setting the stage for better morning blood flow. And yes, that includes to your penis. I had a patient named Ellis, 73, who hated gyms. But once I got him into the habit of walking his dog after dinner every night, things started changing. His sleep got deeper. His digestion improved. And within a few weeks, he said something happened that hadn't happened in years. He woke up at 5 a.m. with that familiar fullness. It wasn't crazy, he said, but it felt real. It felt like me again. That's the power of light movement at the right time. Now, we've talked about the 3 points. We've talked about the 4 habits. But maybe you're still sitting there wondering, does this really work for men like me? I get it. You've probably tried a dozen things already. Maybe some pills. Maybe a pump. Maybe just silence and frustration. That's why the next section is so important. I want to share with you the stories of real men, just like you, who gave this method an honest shot and were stunned by what happened next. Let's talk about real results, real change, and real hope. Let me tell you about Bill. He's 69, a retired school principal from Ohio. Quiet, thoughtful, and when he first came to me, honestly, heartbroken. He told me, "Dr. Jain, I don't need to be 20 again. I just want to wake up and feel like my body still belongs to me." That hit me hard, because that's what this is really about. Not just erections, but identity, ownership, dignity. He wasn't chasing sex. He was chasing connection to himself. So I walked Bill through the 3 pressure points. We talked about the habits. And we didn't aim for perfection, just consistency. He wrote in a journal every night what he noticed. Some days, it was nothing. Some days, a little warmth. After 2 weeks, he called me with tears in his voice. I woke up this morning, and for the first time in 10 years, I felt myself respond before I even opened my eyes. It was like my body remembered me. That's what this work does. Then there was Daniel, 66, former truck driver, battled with diabetes, and hadn't felt morning wood in over 8 years. He was skeptical, said he'd heard it all before. But something about doing it with his own hands, on his own time, in his own home, made him give it a shot. He didn't like the breathing at first, said it felt weird. But he stuck with it. Within a month, he noticed his legs felt less cold. His thighs had more energy. And one morning, he told me he woke up not with an erection, but with sensation. That alone gave him the courage to keep going. This process is not about quick fixes. It's about waking the system gently, consistently, and with care. And here's what I want every man listening to hear: you are not broken. You are not weak. You are not done. What you're experiencing is a system that needs reconnection. And you have the tools to do that. Your body still remembers. It's not about age. It's about circulation. It's about nerve signaling. And most of all, it's about attention. Men who practice these techniques over time don't just get stronger erections. They get better sleep. They stand taller. Their faces change. Their eyes brighten. And often, their relationships shift too, not because they suddenly have the drive of a teenager, but because they feel present again. They stop hiding. They stop avoiding. They start engaging. They start living. You see, when you wake up in the morning and feel that energy again, what some call morning wood, it's more than just blood flow. It's a signal, a quiet message from your nervous system that says, "I'm still alive. I still work. I still matter." And when you get that message often enough, something inside you changes. Your posture, your mindset, your sense of self-worth. I've watched it happen more times than I can count. Men walk into my practice with their heads down. And after a few weeks of simply showing up for their body, they carry themselves differently. Not because of ego, because of confidence. A deep, rooted sense that says, "This is my body, and I know how to care for it again." That's the real result. That's the transformation we're after. Now, maybe you're wondering how to keep this going. Maybe you're thinking, okay, I can press the points. I can walk after dinner. But how do I turn this into something that lasts? Something that becomes part of my life, not just a short-term experiment? That's a great question. Because the truth is, long-term change doesn't come from information. It comes from ritual, from intention, from meaning. Let's talk about ritual, not routine. A routine is something you do without thinking. Brush your teeth, check your phone, go through the motions. But a ritual, that's different. A ritual has presence. It has weight. And most importantly, it has intention. What I want you to create is a daily ritual that tells your body, I'm still here. I still care. I'm showing up for you. That ritual can be simple. You don't need candles or chants. You need a quiet space. 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe right after you wake up. Or just before bed. Begin by sitting or lying down. Take a slow breath. And place your hand over your lower abdomen, right where the reboot point is. Close your eyes and feel the warmth of your own palm. Press gently. Not hard. Just enough to feel contact. Hold for 30 seconds. Breathe into it. Then shift your attention to the release point. If you're sitting, use a soft towel beneath you to apply that gentle pressure to your perineum. If you're lying down, use your hand to apply soft pressure just in front of your sit bones. Again, breathe. Stay with it. Listen. Feel. After a minute or two, move your hands to your inner thighs. Trace that femoral line. Stroke upward. Find the tight spots. Breathe into them. Soften them. It's not a performance. It's a conversation between you and your body. This practice doesn't require perfection. It just requires consistency. You're not trying to force your body into performance. You're inviting it back into connection. That's a big difference. And your nervous system can feel that difference. If you're impatient, your body tightens. If you're kind, your body opens. It really is that simple. Show up. Breathe. Press. Feel. Repeat. That's it. And if you want to take it further, add the habits we discussed earlier. Drink that warm water first thing. Walk after dinner. Cut the sugar in the evening. Practice slow nasal breathing. These aren't just extras. They're the scaffolding that holds your recovery together. And when combined with the pressure points, they work synergistically, amplifying each other's effect, reinforcing the message to your body. Circulate. Awaken. Heal. You don't need to do everything at once. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. Pick one habit. Start small. And layer on from there. I've seen men go from zero response to daily morning wood in just a few weeks, not because they chased performance, but because they committed to presence. That's where it starts. That's where it lasts. So if you're still listening, I want to leave you with this. Your strength didn't disappear. It didn't leave you. It went dormant. It got quiet. It waited. And now, with your own hands, your own breath, your own attention, you are waking it back up. You're saying, I remember who I am. I remember how I want to feel. And your body hears that. It responds. You're not just reclaiming your erections. You're reclaiming your energy, your identity, your presence as a man. Not for anyone else. For yourself. Because you're still here. You're still alive. You still matter. And your body, after all these years, is still listening. All you have to do is speak its language. And that language is touch, breath, stillness, and care. Every time you press those 3 points, every time you breathe into your belly, drink that water, move your legs, you're writing a new story. One where strength doesn't fade with age. It deepens. It matures. It returns with wisdom. And it's never too late to begin. So here's your invitation. Not from me, but from your own body. Start today. Start small. Place your hand above your pubic bone. Breathe. Sit on a soft towel and let your perineum release. Stroke along your inner thigh and feel the blood begin to move. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring life. The life still flowing inside you. The life waiting for your attention. Make it a moment you return to each day. Not out of duty, but out of respect. Because your body has carried you through decades of experience, challenge, growth, and pain. It deserves care. It deserves connection. And it deserves your time. Not for the sake of performance, but for the sake of presence. To wake up in the morning and feel something stirring, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. That is your strength coming back online. Men like you, men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, are waking up every day and realizing they still have more to give. More mornings to rise with confidence. More nights to sleep peacefully. More life to live with connection, not shame. This is the beginning of that path. It doesn't take a prescription. It doesn't require permission. Just you, your breath, your hands, your willingness to listen again. So take a moment, wherever you are, whether sitting at home, walking alone, or lying in bed, and say it softly to yourself. I still work. I still feel. I still matter. Because you do. And as you move forward from this moment, may you carry that truth with you, not as a hope, but as a knowing. Thank you for showing up today, not just to this message, but to yourself. I'm Dr. Sophia Jain, and I'm honored to walk this journey with you. You're not alone. And you're not past your prime. You're just getting started in a whole new way.